The Hundred Years' War was one of the most significant conflicts in medieval history, lasting from 1337 to 1453. This brutal and protracted war between England and France had a profound impact on both nations and helped shape the course of European history. But what was it all about? The Hundred Years' War was fought over control of the French throne. The English king at the time, Edward III, believed that he had a better claim to the French crown than the French king, Philip VI. This was due to a succession crisis in France following the death of Charles IV, Edward III's grandfather. Edward II had been a close friend and ally of Charles IV. And when Charles died without a male heir, Edward III felt that he should inherit the French throne. However, the French nobles chose Philip VI, who was the son of Charles IV's sister, to be their king instead. Edward III's claim to the French throne was actually considered legitimate by some, and he even had the backing of the Pope. But ultimately, it was the French nobles who held the power to choose the king, and they went with Philip VI. This caused a major rift between England and France, and soon the two nations were at war. The Hundred Years' War was a long and bloody affair, but there were some key turning points. One of the most famous battles of the war was the Battle of Agincourt, which took place in 1415. The English, under the command of Henry V, defeated a larger French force, thanks in part to the longbow, which was a weapon that the English used very effectively during this period. Another important battle was the Battle of Orléans, which took place in 1429. By this point in the war, the English had occupied much of France, and it seemed as though they might win the conflict. However, the French were able to turn the tide of the war with a major victory at Orléans. This was in part due to the help of Joan of Arc, who was a young French peasant girl who claimed to have had visions from God telling her to help the French army. Whether or not Joan of Arc actually saw visions is not important. What is important is that she had an immediate impact on the morale of the French troops. Inspired by her, the French were able to defeat the English at Orléans and push them back. The war continued for another 3 decades after that, but the victory at Orléans is considered to be a turning point. The French were able to take back much of the territory that they had lost to the English, and ultimately the war ended with the Treaty of Paris in 1453. The treaty confirmed the loss of all of their continental possessions to the English, except for the city of Calais. The Hundred Years' War was one of the most significant conflicts in medieval history. It helped to shape the course of European history and had a profound impact on both England and France. If you